Hello everybody, my name is Trichromat. I'm here today to call Dr. Delony out for his bad advice to Jesse. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the story of Jesse, and then I'm going to talk about the mistakes Jesse has made, and also I'm going to talk about the bad advice that Dr. Delony gives, and at the end I'll be talking about what would be my advice to Jesse. Please go ahead and hit the subscribe and like button, and also share my video with your friends and family. Let everybody know that Dr. Delony doesn't do a good job giving people relationship advice. Without any further ado, let's get right into it. So today we're dealing with Jesse. Jesse has been married for 20 years. He gets married as a virgin, but his wife is pretty much the opposite of him, right? So his wife has had plenty of bodies before Jesse. We don't know exactly how many, but apparently quite a lot. Jesse's wife, she has a bunch of friends who they would go on work trips together, and they have a group chat where they talk about their work, hopefully. On one of these trips, she texts about how great life has been before she basically gets married to Jesse, and she talks about her boyfriends and the glory days, the ages of 19 to 23. She calls the ages between 19 to 23 glory days, glorious, time. She specifically talks about a few of her boyfriends. And then Jesse stumbles across one of these texts. In the text, she has talked about a few guys, or a specific guy or guys, who she has dated when she was in college. So Jesse's wife tells him about the bodies that basically she has had before marriage. But Jesse decides to go ahead and marry this woman. He basically decides to ignore all of these red flags, and they get married. Now, after Jesse stumbles across those texts, after 20 years, he doesn't like the fact that she has talked about her boyfriends before Jesse to her friends. He doesn't feel good about this, and he's struggling to handle the situation. That's why he's called in to talk to Dr. Delony. Jesse has made a bunch of mistakes. First of all, why did you decide to stay virgin? Honestly, why did you not have girlfriends before you get married? That's a huge, huge question for you, Jesse. You can't take a stick with you to a gunfight. Let me give you another example. Let's say you have a business, right? You want to hire someone, the best candidate for the position, right? This is your business. Very important to you, right? In the job description for the position description, you have already mentioned that you are looking for someone who has had a minimum of 5 years of experience in that specific field. That's in the description of the position. Let's say someone applies for the position, and overall he's good. He's a good candidate, but he doesn't have the experience that you are seeking, the 5-year experience. He doesn't have that. Would you go ahead and hire that person? Most likely not, right? So that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about experience. When you, as a guy, as a virgin guy, without any experience before you get married, when you marry a woman who has had a lot of experience, right? You are in it to lose it. You are in it to get hurt. You are in it to feel bad. It's guaranteed. There's no way to escape this. That's guaranteed. Your second mistake, Jesse, is ignoring the red flags. When your wife, when your girlfriend, I'm talking about 20 years ago, when she comes clean, when she lets you know that she has had boyfriends before you, a handful of boyfriends, Jesse believes that his wife hasn't been fully sincere about the number of her boyfriends before Jesse, but Jesse thinks that she has had a handful of boyfriends. When she comes clean about the number of her boyfriends, let's say she has said, let's say 5 boyfriends. Why did you ignore that? Why did you think that that's not a big problem? Why? That's a huge mistake, Jesse. Never, ever ignore the red flags in your girlfriends, guys, before you marry that woman. Ever. Let me give you another example. Let's say you own a business. You are trying to hire. Someone shows up with a fantastic resume. Everything about this guy is great. Everything about this guy is exactly what you're looking for. And then you ask this guy to get a background check, right? And then he gets a background check, and then he comes back, and you notice that he has murdered someone in the past. Would you hire someone who is the greatest of all time in every single metric there is, but there's just one but, and that is the murder? He has murdered someone. Would you go ahead and just ignore that part of his resume background and hire him? Would you do that? I doubt it. I highly, highly doubt it. But you did. You ignored the red flags of your wife. Having too many bodies, too many boyfriends before marriage for a woman specifically is a disaster. It's a red flag that cannot be and should not be and must not be ignored. You know, Jesse, men are always interested in a woman's past, and women are always interested in a man's future, right? You, Jesse, you call this sexcapade. Even you don't believe the number of boyfriends she has given you. Even you don't believe it. You yourself call it sexcapade, right? Another mistake, Jesse. Why do you let your woman go on trips with her coworkers? Apparently, they're not just work trips. When you go on a work trip, you don't drink, you don't get drunk, and, talk about your, beautiful and, glorious days in the past. It's just something that you wouldn't do when you go on a work trip. I would argue that those trips are not only work trips. They are trips, basically, right? If I were you, I wouldn't let my wife go on work trips with her friends. Stop it. Cold turkey. No work trips for you, lady, anymore, especially after what has happened. What is Dr. Delony's bad advice to Jesse? Well, there's quite a lot, actually. I've written them down. There's at least 5 pieces of bad advice. So first of all, Dr. Delony never, ever during this consultation mentions the fact that it is wrong, it is bad for a woman to have a high body count before they get married. He never talks about this. This is a big deal. In today's society, there are quite a lot of men who have never, ever had any sexual partner before they get married. If they ever do. On the other hand, we have a lot of women, most of women, I would argue over 90% of women, who have had a high body count before they decide to settle down and marry some poor guy. So when we have this situation in today's society, how can we not even mention, even touch base on this with someone like Jesse? How can we not talk about it at all? That's wrong, Dr. Delony. And then Dr. Delony frames the whole thing, the whole story, as if Jesse is to blame here. So this is exactly, I'm quoting Dr. Delony, exactly what he says. At some point, Jesse says, "What am I supposed to do, doctor? Help me." And this is exactly what Dr. Delony tells this poor man. "I would sit down with my wife and say, for 20 years, I thought I was better than you because I was a virgin and you were not. And I'm not. And I'm sorry." So Dr. Delony wants this man to sit down with his bad wife and apologize to her. Another thing, Dr. Delony tells this man, this is exactly what he says. I'm quoting him. He says, "Okay, go sit down with your wife and tell her that it makes me feel bad when you go out with your friends and talk about this stuff, just like a child, just like a sweet boy. You know what I mean? That is horrible advice, doctor." Another thing, Dr. Delony mentions that this is an unfair standard to think that because you are a virgin, as a guy, as a man, you should expect your woman to be a virgin like you. That's unfair standard. That's exactly what Dr. Delony says. Is it really unfair standard, doctor? Is it like too much of an expectation to have from the woman you're trying to marry, to have 0 body counts? Or I mean, a couple bodies, maybe at most. Is it an unfair standard, really? I would argue that it is absolutely, it has to be the standard. Guys, I'm talking to you. Listen, the woman you want to marry has to have as minimum as humanly possible when it comes to body count. 1, 2, maximum. He frames the whole story in a way where Jesse feels ashamed of himself because, God forbid, he has thought that his wife has not been the virgin woman that he has expected her to be, basically. Although he knew about all this stuff, but he decided to go ahead and ignore all of this stuff. But the way that Dr. Delony made this man feel bad and ashamed for his thoughts is just absolutely crazy to me, man. I'm going to give you guys, first of all, my opinion when it comes to, marriage for guys. I want to give you a few pieces of advice generally for everybody, and then I'm going to talk to Jesse specifically, right? So, first of all, guys, listen up. First of all, you must have experience, girlfriend experience, before you marry someone. You must have a minimum of 5 girlfriends, sexual relationship with these 5 girlfriends before you marry a woman. Number 2, when you finally decide to marry one of your girlfriends, you are not allowed to marry her before at least 12 months, before you vet your girlfriend for a minimum of 12 months. And then, after 12 months, if everything was good, then you can go ahead and consider marrying this woman. And third, never, ever ignore the red flags in your girlfriend. Never. The smallest red flag can turn into the biggest problem ever in your future life with this woman if you decide to ignore it. So do not ignore any red flags in any girl when you are vetting her for 12 months before you marry her. And as a rule of thumb, whatever number a girl gives you as her body count, whatever number, you multiply that number by 3. Okay? So if she says, yeah, I've had 3 boyfriends before you. So 3 by 3 is 9. So she's had 9 boyfriends before you. So if she says, my body count is 5. 5 by 3, 15 is the result. So she most likely has had 15 boyfriends before you. Okay, my body count is 1. Just 1, my, high school, sweetheart. So 1 by 3, 3. So she's had 3 boyfriends. I want to talk to Jesse specifically. First of all, Jesse, this word, insecure. I hate this word. This is what we men must do. Don't expect women to fix this. We have to fix this problem. The word insecure. I want to talk about the word insecure. So what does the word insecure mean? The word insecure basically means unconfident. Unconfident. You're not confident, right? There's nothing wrong about this word. We have to get rid of the stigma around this word. There's nothing wrong about it. You are insecure about something. You are unconfident about something, okay? Let's say you have a home. In order for you to keep your home safe, in order to keep the, thieves away from your home, you decide to go ahead and basically put a fence, and then you also decide to put a no trespassing sign right by the fence, by the, entrance gate. So, is it a bad thing? No, you feel insecure about your money at home getting robbed by a bunch of thieves, so you put fence around your yard, around your home, and also a no trespassing sign as well. Is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. That's a great thing. So when you say, Jesse, that I feel insecure, that I think that my wife has had boyfriends, and now she's kind of bragging about the number of her boyfriends that she's had before me. The fact that you feel insecure is actually a very good thing. We take action when we feel insecure about something. We feel insecure about something in our lives, and then that insecurity makes us take action, do something about that insecurity. So being insecure is not a bad thing. Be proud of it, actually. So you being insecure about this whole thing is not your problem, Jesse. Your problem is exactly what you've done and where you are. Now, here's the deal, Jesse. This stain, this problem, this suspiciousness, this doubt is not going to leave you. Never. Ever. You're now at a point where whatever you do, you are going to think about this problem. The problem of your wife bragging about her past boyfriends. I would argue that it's not just her talking about her boyfriends with her friends. That's not your only problem. Your main problem, Jesse, tell me I'm wrong. Your main problem is that you, after 20 years, now it has kind of hit you in the face that what the hell did I do? You're like, what the hell did I think when I married this one? Why did I ignore all these, red flags? I would argue that's your main problem. But regardless, you're at a point where you will never ever forget about these, doubts and suspiciousness. You never. So you have two options, in my opinion. One is to try to make peace with it, which I don't think is possible. Try to go through this. Just live with it. I don't think it's possible. At least this is not what I would do. Your second option, which is what I would do if I were you, I would finish everything. I would get a divorce. Hard, absolutely understandable, but I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you gotta, take that medication, although it tastes bad as hell, but that's the only way to get healed. Get a divorce and leave this woman and start a new life from scratch, from the beginning. And start everything from scratch. It is what it is. It has happened. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a hard one. I'm not going to lie. Once again, if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit the subscribe and like button. And also share this video with your friends and family. Let them know that Dr. Delony does not do a good job giving people, men and women, relationship advice. Thank you very much. See you guys again soon. Bye-bye for now.